it is my great honor to introduce to you Mr. Stephen McGhee.
Before I say anything else, I want to have my apprentice Richard Mall stand up and move up to the front. I have a seat for you. Richard came all the way here from Bali. Yeah. Take your time. Slowing down is underrated. Grateful to be here. I don't do anything ever in my life before I pray. Will you pray with me? And in your way, I'll use my words. You use yours. Lord God of all creation, we ask for the clearing, the light of the Christ and the Holy Spirit, the traveler through the ages, clearing, filling, surrounding, and protecting each one of us here. And we ask for grace, clarity of intention for you and what you're here for. And I invite you to listen from a place of hearing what serves you the most. And so it is. The only notes I have for my entire speech, conversation, because this isn't really a speech. It's a conversation with all of you. And I know many of you can't see this, but it just says, be honest. Those are my notes. And if you know what the Latin is of honest, it's honest. And honest means to be one with what is. So what is for me today as a way of being is Sundance, thank you. You blew my heart wide open. And my hand is up, and I'm standing up because I'm showing up here in fumes. You'll know, for those of you that don't know why, I'll share with you in a few minutes why. One time I was in a session with Byron Katie, and I raised my hand and I said, I'm Stephen McGhee. And she said, are you sure? Steve Ortison's laughing his butt off because he knows her very well. Many of you do. So there's a new version of Stephen McGhee coming forward into the world. I've been hiding for a while. I've been hiding from myself and from the world. I'm done hiding. I'm ready to share again, this time from a new way of being. Becky asked me through a message the other day to send my document. She had a gift for me if she could read my document. And I said, Becky, I don't have a document anymore because I'll be creating a new document. And the new document will be more aligned with who's standing here today. January 7th, on a Tuesday, I woke up about my normal time, 6 a.m., 5:36. I like quantum biology. I like circadian rhythm. So I like to see the sunrise. And almost every morning, my wife, Veronica, and I would get up and we'd make coffee. She makes Earl Grey tea for you, from over the ocean. Only 1 teaspoon of honey in my honey's tea. On this morning, I was up before her and I went outside to prep our little couch to watch the sunrise. And the winds were blowing as if they were angry. They were maybe 70 miles an hour, called Santa Ana winds. And I thought, wow, that's too much to sit out here and have tea. So I went inside and had my coffee, and she had her tea. I went about my morning. I had a client from 9 to 10 o'clock on Zoom. Veronica came into my office about 10:15. She said, honey, I'm going to Starbucks. Can I get you anything? And I said, yeah, I'll take a short coconut latte. I've got another call with a man named Townsend Wardlaw at 11 o'clock to 11:30. Veronica came in my office about 11:15. She said, here's your latte. She said, I was down at Starbucks and I smelled smoke. I said, honey, I said, keep an eye on that. Finished my call at 11:30. Went out in the backyard, and I've got a short clip of what I video recorded by my phone. You can play that clip now if we have it available. So from there, I want you to hear what I have to say. When I had my first agreement with Steve Hardison, it was in 2004. One thing he taught me was to be Stephen McGhee, which I've already said is being redefined. Another thing Steve often shared with me, said, can you hear that? Have you ever heard Steve say that? Now I finally understand what Steve was saying. Can you hear it? And I would say, as it relates to what's going on with me, I would say, can you hear what's going on with me for you? This isn't my story. And so please listen. Please hear from a place of what's in this for you as you evolve, as we as a community align and come together and cooperate and grow and lead and support and serve. We had 20 minutes from 11:30 to the time we left the house. I can't begin to share with you how confusing that is. We had a time to get a few things. My wife and I disagreed about what was most important to take. It was a very interesting moment. I was concerned about getting out safely, because what you just saw in that clip happened in about 5 minutes. So we also had our beautiful Tita, a housekeeper that Veronica's had in her life for 30 years with us, our 2 dogs. We all got out safely. I remember looking at the clouds and the smoke coming closer to the house. It filled my lungs with smoke. It's not fun. We got out before the traffic jam. So I'm glad we left those things behind, because we got out safely. When we got down to the place where we gathered together, we had 2 cars. Tita came running out. She said, Esteban, I got something for you. She handed me a picture that was in my office of a man who was like my only father in my life. He was a man called John Roger. She said, I have his picture for you. She handed me his picture in a frame. I said, Tita, how did you know? She said, I know what you love, Stephen. So we're displaced and we're safe and our spirits are strong. We don't know what's next. But here's some things that I've learned. And again, I implore you, I encourage you to hear this from a place of what's important to you. We all know that we can all go through the same situation, and each of us will take it, we'll listen to it, we'll hear it, and we'll all get something different from it. So I encourage you to listen from the place of what can you get from this? Because the blessings and the grace and the generosity that's come from the people in our world has blown my heart wide, kid-friendly, freaking open. Wide open. My heart is tender. My heart is raw. My heart is vulnerable, and I find strength in that. I find great beauty and strength in the grace that is being bestowed upon us at this time. Some of those things are prayers. It's the only time in my life I felt like I have arthritis in my right hand because I've been typing and texting so much, trying to get back to all the love coming in. And then I realized I don't have to do that. What I can do is I can receive it. And so I invite you all to receive in this time together what's most and highest for you. What would you receive today to be your document? What would I receive today to be my new document? And so he or she who endures to the end wins. And then we get to look at, well, what does endurance mean? Because I don't think it's just about grinding it out, do you? I think there's an opportunity for great grace in the endurance. But we keep moving, we keep stepping. And so on New Year's Eve, going back to January 1st, or that would be New Year's Day, but you get what I'm saying. On New Year's Eve, I had friends over, and I prayed about things with my friends. And we put strings around each other's wrist as a symbol of what we prayed for. And what I prayed for was to be of greater service to this world, to this planet. And I say to us, be careful what you pray for. But I'm grateful I prayed for that. Because it has me being here, being of service. And that isn't about me, it's about you. And so we're not separate. We're the same. And that's what Sundance did. He brought us together. And each speaker here will bring us together. And you'll hear what you'll hear from that. So the question I ask you to invite yourself into is, what would I need to hear to be my document? And who would I need to be? And then surrender. Because what I've found is that maybe I've never surrendered in my whole life. Maybe there's always been a part of me attached, trying to get. Steve Hardison showed me what it's like to serve. But going to ground zero has gotten it in me. It got it in my bones. It's always been in my soul. So this isn't a story of tragedy. It's a story of reinvention. And it's a story of being open and willing to get the information. Can you hear that? What do you hear in that? Because the information was coming my way for many years. I wasn't listening. So how do I stand up here and talk about listening? Because I know how to do it wrong. I know how to not listen. And for me, when I work with my clients, listening has never, ever been about content. Content is maybe important on, like, logistically. But I want us to consider what listening can do contextually. What happens contextually when we listen. And I wrote a blog maybe 6 months ago. It came out of me pretty clear and pretty clean in one of those moments where I was surrendered. And I wrote about the portal of possibility. And that's what we have here. We have a portal of possibility. There's a book in the world called The 12 Conditions of a Miracle. Steve's nodding his head. Any others? Very few. It's not that well known. But it breaks down the parable, the story of Jesus Christ creating miracles. And the very first condition that was broken down, this wasn't a religious book, it was a book that actually looked at what happened for fishes and loaves and what would need to happen again for that to happen. And guess what the first condition is? Being empty. Naked. I'm real frickin' empty and real naked. And I'm open to a miracle. And right now, I'll tell you, I need one. I need clarity. So while Veronica and I were doing pretty well before this, we're in a new marriage just over a year, this has put a strain on us I can't even begin to define. Steve asked me on the phone the other day, on a scale from 1 to 10, what's the amount of stress, 10 being the highest? I think I answered him 8.5. But I lied to him. Not because I wanted to lie to him, but because I didn't realize it's like 100. So light to that. And when I say light, it can be whatever light you want to send. It could be nature's light or God's light. Light to me is living in God's holy thoughts. L-I-G-H-T. And that's where I want to live. That's where I want to be from that place. You guys are so amazing. Send us the light. There's some interesting things that have happened that we found some humor in. One thing I found this morning that was kind of funny, because my clothes got burned. So I don't have any clothes. Wait, let me do this properly. I was putting this on today, I'm like, wow, there's still a tag. And I don't have any scissors, so I can't cut it without ripping the suit. We won't talk about underwear, but that's another problem, let's say. So I don't miss my clothes. I'm happy I have a new jacket. I miss having a home. When Veronica and I got married, I was living on a ranch up on the central coast of California at 12 acres. I was living in the country because I believe in nature coherence. And she at the time lives in Pacific Palisades with a thriving business and her 2 daughters living near her. And so when we decided to get married, decided that I would move down to Southern California. It just made sense on every level. And one of the things that was kind of humorous about that, maybe some of us can relate to this, but everything I had at the ranch was like, we're not taking that in our new home. That's not going to make it. And I put my foot down as any good man will do from time to time. And I said, yeah, but what about the yellow Adirondack chairs that I watch the sunrise and the sunset from each morning and each evening? She said, they're plastic. I said, yeah, but I love them. And they're bright and they're yellow and they're sunny and they're shiny and all that stuff. And I won. I got the yellow Adirondack chairs. And we brought them down and we put them in the front yard. And somewhere out there on Facebook or somewhere, there's a video of our assistant filming the ground zero in the ashes. But when I saw it, I really was, that was the first time we knew the house was completely to the ground zero. But those yellow Adirondack chairs are in the front completely fine. 100%. Yeah, baby. And they're going to be in a museum one day, I think. I'm so grateful for those yellow chairs. And I'm so grateful for so many other things, because it's like my body's tired, my mind's tired, there's lack of sleep, but my spirit is intact, and my soul has never been more alive than it is now. And so I celebrate that with the souls in this room. I mean, what are we here for? And what are we hearing for? Can you hear that? Like, drop that one in. Not because it's like a mic drop or anything, but because it's the truth. We will create from what we hear. Yes? So what are you listening for? What I'm listening for in this situation is reinvention, clarity, grace, a greater way to serve the people in this planet at a time when there's a lot of negativity. And we come together in a room like this, or a church, or a synagogue, or wherever we go, and we be that person. Greatest thing we could ever do is to be. Smartest thing ever done was to write a book of being. I don't know if any of this is making sense. I've never done a talk that didn't have bullet points to sequential learning. But I love you guys. Thank you. I received that. Snap, snap. I'm building my receiving muscle. Steve Hardison came to see me at my little cottage in Montecito, 2021. And that's when Amy was working 24/7, I think, on the Book of Being. I had already talked to Alan Thompson, so there was a lot to sift through in this and that. But being with Steve while the book was being written, there were some wonderful conversations. And one of the conversations I remember so well was Steve sharing with me from the deepest recesses of the fleshy tables of his heart was, this book isn't about me. He knew that. Took us a while to figure that out, didn't it? Took me a while to figure that out. Now I get it, because this story isn't about me either. This is just how God works. Thank you for being you. Thank you all for being you. But it's also interesting, and this one's a touchy one. See, I think the day of the guru's gone. Boom, kada boom. Can I get a boom from everyone? Boom. So what does that mean? When we listen inside to our own guru. That doesn't mean I'm not open to reflection. That doesn't mean I'm not open to hearing what other people say. People are going to say what they're going to say. But think of the power in this as a creative source. Think of the power of leadership from people that don't get in a disagreement and start to point a finger of blame during a crisis. Consider what would happen in a world where people collaborate during a crisis. Left, right, up, down, it wouldn't matter. What would matter is who are we listening to, who am I listening to, and who am I going to be? So when Steve was with me in my cottage in Montecito, California, I already said the day of the guru's gone. I said, you're like a modern day Jesus. Now, I don't know if Steve liked that or disliked that or wanted it or didn't want it, but it came out of me. And I said it because even Jesus said, whether you believe in the religious Jesus or the historical Jesus or whether there was one or not, this you shall do in even greater things. So there's permission for us, regardless of your background, regardless of what your religion or non-religion is, this we shall do and even greater things. At a time when what? Fill in the blank. When what? We need it. Your leadership. Your willingness, my willingness to stand up with the permission to lead by listening to the one inside. There's another short clip that I'm going to ask them to show in a moment. It was the song that came to me when I said yes to this beautiful experience, when really you said yes to me. That's what happened. And it's the song, The Sound of Silence. But funnily, or not so funnily, Steve sent this to me on Instagram like 3 days ago. He didn't know I was looking for this song. Please share the clip when you get it up. What do you hear in this clip? What are you listening for?
Silence. Fools say now you do not know. Silence like a cancer grows. Hear my words and I might teach you. Play my arms and I might reach you. But my words like silent raindrops fell and echoed in the wells from silence.
That one really gets me. If you're willing, close your eyes, put your hand on your heart, drop into that place inside, talk to your soul. What did you hear today that might be valuable for you? And just sit with that for just a moment in the sounds of silence. What did you hear for you? It'll take about 30 seconds now. And when you're ready, let your eyes gently open. And softly, just because we're in this miraculous space of empty, where all things get created from nothing. Gently speak into the space what you heard and what you want to create. You can do it softly, whatever you want on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. And say it again. That's it. Thank you. May all those words be blessed. I am that I am my word. And that I am that I am what I hear from the word. Deep listening. What do I hear? I'm not responsible for what anybody hears. I'm responsible for what I say. And you're not responsible for what anybody says or hears other than what you hear. Can you imagine the world of beingness that we could come from, where the world was listening for inspiration and learning, and that everything that was ever said to us, regardless of how it came at us or how we experienced it coming at us, what if we just heard, this is for my learning, my growth, and my advancement? What if ground zero is the best thing that ever happened to me? What if? I have more time, but I'm going to surrender it to the next person because I feel complete. Thank you for blessing me today. God bless.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you.